Hello and a very good afternoon to all our viewers who are joining me in this live interaction session on News 9's Facebook as well as YouTube page. And as we all know, summer has gone, the rainy season is almost coming to an end, and the winter is all set to begin in a month's time. And in the meantime, the World Health Organization cautions that there is no reason to believe that cold weather can kill the COVID-19. Now, experts also agree, in fact, and that most of the evidence for seasonal viruses indicate that they are more active during the cooler months of the year. For instance, in many parts of the world, there is a winter seasonality for influenza, and in India and regions of similar climate, there is a monsoon peak and a smaller winter peak as well. So experts, however, also point out that there has been no definite trend for COVID-19 yet. So in order to answer a few questions that surround this particular topic, we have with us Dr. Sitesh Roy joining us live from Mumbai. Many thanks for joining me, Dr. Sitesh Roy. And my first question to you is, what type of seasonality has COVID-19 exhibited so far, Doctor?
So Deepak, COVID-19 has shown us that in comparison to other respiratory viruses, including the old coronaviruses, like the NL63, HKU1, OC43, these were old types of coronaviruses, which largely peaked in the colder months or in the winter months. COVID-19 has not shown any such pattern. It has shown just as many cases in summer as it showed during the winter months in the colder parts of the world like Italy, Spain, and the US. And in India, it has shown just enough of a widespread transmission during the monsoon season, which is the equivalent to the colder months in other parts of the world, India being a tropical country. So far we have seen that COVID-19 does not seem to get affected by higher temperatures. We can assume that it may be more widespread during the colder months though, and there are several reasons for that.
Okay.
And in those reasons, when we look at parts of the world and even northern parts of India where it gets cold, people may tend to spend more time indoors during the cooler months. And in that, the chance of transmission of any respiratory virus is higher when a person is indoors with other people.
Okay.
The second reason happens to be increase in pollution. So when we look at the pollution levels around the country, and especially again in the colder parts of the country, like the northern parts, we will see that the indoor and outdoor air pollution levels rise due to many different factors. And this can keep the airways inflamed and more prone to get respiratory infections. A decrease in physical activity due to extreme cold can also play a factor, lowering of sunlight exposure, and hence vitamin D levels can also play a role in these. So there are several reasons why we may be concerned about COVID-19 being more prevalent in the winter months.
Now, Doctor, why is it that only in winter viral infection cases, spike? Should we worry about this particular report?
So I would say that it has been well known that most viral infections, like you rightly mentioned, influenza is the classic example in the cold regions of the world, in the temperate climate regions. There is a very clear peak of influenza infections somewhere between October, November, all the way through March and April when it is winter there. And we see the similar pattern here in our monsoon season influenza. We have a smaller peak, as you said, of influenza cases in the winter months, likely because we don't see as much of a drop in temperature down into the single digits, except in the northern parts of the country. But I do believe that when the temperatures drop, and as I said, people stay indoors, they go out less, there's more indoor interaction amongst people, there is less sunlight and fresh air exposure, there is higher pollution levels. All of these can influence the immune system of a person and potentially make a virus more capable of transmission in enclosed environments in a higher way. Certain parts of the country, we may see a higher transmission. The other parts, especially the east, west, and southern parts of India, will continue to see COVID-19 probably in the same rates as we have seen so far. The northern parts might see a slight increase for the above mentioned reasons.
Also, doctor, now that winter is fast approaching, how can we stay safe from viral infections, especially during a period where, like you mentioned, the immune system is very vulnerable to influenza like infections?
So I think that the most important measure that people have to remember is still wearing face masks, because it has been shown that wherever in the world there was expected to be an influenza peak, those peaks have been avoided just because people were wearing masks to protect themselves from COVID-19. So COVID-19 itself is prevented from spreading from person to person if both people are wearing their masks correctly. And I think that still happens to be the top way of preventing and protecting ourselves, preventing the infection. The hand washing, hand sanitizing, the physical distancing all matter because, as I said, staying indoors, we have to take precautions. Certainly, with doing physical exercise and activity, it's a very important step to keep our immune system sharp and working well. A healthy, fresh diet, which can keep us healthy, getting good 6 to 8 hours of sleep at night, making sure that we get sunshine and fresh air where possible, keeping our mood and our mind in a positive state also influences our immune system. So, if we are doing all of these things, then I think that even a potential winter spike of COVID-19 should not affect or bother us as much. But again, the biggest message is wear your mask, wear your mask, wear your mask.
Right, Dr. Sitesh, many thanks for joining me in this live interaction. Well, that was Dr. Sitesh Roy giving us his insights as to why COVID-19 could probably prove to be much more worse during the winter season. And the reason being, the immune system of ours will be very vulnerable to influenza like infections during these few months where we will have extreme cold weather. And during these times, like the doctor mentioned, we will have to keep our physical activity up to the mark and also make sure that we are wearing a mask at all times. It's not just about shopping winter clothes, but it's also about buying a couple of masks to keep yourselves not just warm, but also to keep yourself safe from viral infections and most importantly COVID-19, because without a vaccine in the current scenario, only masks and hand hygiene will probably help us ward off COVID-19 infection. So stay safe and also stay warm. So if you guys have liked this piece of information that we've shared with you all today, please do drop in your comments and also like, share and subscribe to News 9 on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and YouTube. Many thanks for joining us.